Hi again, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Art and I are with the fabulous Manny Pacheco, Hollywood historian.
Well, thank you for having me, guys.
Hey, Manny. I have a question for you. We see a lot of this PR stuff about romances and friendships, and everybody loves each other, even if they hate each other behind the scenes of all these great stars. With We know that there were probably a whole bunch of really good friends that may or may not have ever been revealed to the public. Can you share with us some people that we might be surprised about who were really close friends off screen, who you might never have
Yeah.
met? Maybe they never even appeared together on screen.
Well, in some cases they did. Yeah, one person comes to mind, had a series of friends and appeared on screen with them as well, because she was easy to make friends with, and that was Elizabeth Taylor.
Uh,
Hmm.
Elizabeth Taylor had a series of friends, and she married 8 different men. Well,
yeah.
seven, one twice.
Was she
But
friendly with them?
how's that? Well, I don't know. They ended up getting divorced. In one case, he died, Mike Todd. But her friends. I mean, she had a series of friends. She never married, and there was good reasons why she didn't, which we're not going to get into today. But two of her friends that were lifetime friends, lifelong friends until they died, were Roddy McDowell. Roddy
Yep.
McDowell, when they made them a movie together, I believe it might have been National Velvet, but they did make a movie together, and they became lifelong friends until he died. And then, of course, her other lifelong friend was Montgomery Clift. In fact, he was leaving her party when he got in this terrible, terrible auto accident where he almost died because his teeth were actually down in his throat. She
Oh,
ended up running to the car, getting into the car, and actually reaching into his mouth and pulled the obstruction out of his mouth. It
oh my
disfigured
God.
him for the rest of his life, but she saved his life. They
Yeah.
were really, really close friends.
That's a good
Another
friend. Yeah.
another close male and female friends. They made a couple of movies together. Betty Davis and Claude Rains.
Okay.
Absolute
Wow.
pals. Oh yeah, pal. When she first met him on the set of Juarez, where he gets to play Napoleon, and she basically plays his wife, she was really intimidated by him. She thought, "Wow, this is a movie star," and he could be very, very intimidating. But after the making of that movie and three more, Now Voyager was one of them, Mr. Skeffington another, they became really, really good friends. They loved to play practical jokes on each other. Very, very close. And I mean, we're talking two actors at the top of their game. It's almost a shame they only made 4 films. I think they could have made a dozen films together because they were that good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now, of course, all the friends that we don't know about behind the scenes are not all couples, male, female.
Right, right. No, no, you're right about that. There are others. I know I know that John wants me to allude to this one that he's been trying to really capture, and that is this insanely interesting friendship between Marlon Brando and Wally Cox.
Yes, that's what it was. I couldn't remember Wally Cox. Oh, yeah, Mr. Peepers.
Mr. Peepers, and truth
Thank you.
and truth be told, in this relationship, the alpha friend of the group was Wally Cox.
Really?
Really?
Well, he was clever. He could make Marlon Brando laugh. Marlon Brando was not the tough guy that he always appeared to be on screen. He was far more cultured and into the process of acting, and so much more serious and cultured. Wally Cox, I mean, he loved sports and he loved competition. He loved to play poker, and if you picked a fight with him, he could beat you up. and you
Now,
and you
that
would know.
is a strange friendship. Yeah.
That is a really strange friendship. Now, another one that I think is a little more celebrated, more talked about, was the lifelong friendship between James Stewart and Henry Fonda.
Hmm.
They started their careers together. Early in their careers, they would date the same women at different times, and and they stayed friends until the passing of Henry Fonda. And even though their politics were different, but they determined early in their friendship that they would not discuss politics after getting into a knockdown, drag-out fight in like 1938 about politics, that they never discussed it again, and they stayed friends for the rest of their lives. And I think that's a true testimony of what decorum should be among friends.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. Another friendship that you might not consider. I don't know that they made a movie or two together. They might have, but they ended up marrying each other. And that was the friendship between Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, they were very so close. They actually married. And I don't know that they met on a set, but somehow there was that attract. Well, Robert Taylor was a very, very good-looking man, and I mean, I know a number of older people who think that Robert Taylor might have been the best-looking man. I mean, more than Tyrone Power, more than Clark Gable. That Robert Taylor might have been the best-looking man in Hollywood, and Barbara Stanwyck may have not been the best-looking woman, but she was, I mean, revered as a talented actress.
Yeah.
And the two of them together, and they stayed together for a good long time. So yeah, another.
But like we know that I guess Spencer Tracy and Hepburn were. There was no secret that they were friends, and maybe it was at the time, but I don't know that it was. But are there other couples or pals that seemed obvious that were in fact like Bob Hope and Crosby?
Bob Hope and Crosby, they just had the same sense of humor, really the same sense of humor. And despite the rumors, I will tell you that the friendship between Cary Grant and Randolph Scott was legendary. They would share the same beach house together. They would throw parties together. They were inseparable for at least 5 to 10 years, and they were very, very close and dear friends. Randolph Scott is this tough guy in westerns, and Cary Grant, of course, played these lighthearted comedy types. But the two of them were inseparably great friends. So I mean, there's another one where you wouldn't expect the two would get along. I mean, I think this is a true example. I think Marlon Brando and Wally Cox, opposites attract.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, really, if you think of it, opposites absolutely attract, and they were really, really great friends. And there are these stories of people who did not get along for whatever reason, and very celebrated. It's nice to hear that actually there were people in Hollywood that did get along, who were close, who really were able to enjoy private time in maybe going to Santa Anita for a day at the races, or maybe doing some yachting, or they would do, or maybe they go big game hunting the way Howard Hawks and Ernest Hemingway and Clark Gable did together, because they were famous friends, a director, a writer, and an actor. The three of them would go big game hunting on their time off.
Yeah.
Ward Bond and John Wayne, we talked about this when we talked about Ward Bond. Ward Bond and John Wayne, friends since college. So yes, they were there. There existed friendships among actors that maybe you heard of, maybe you haven't. But I will tell you that that just led to, I think, a healthier Hollywood. And it gave an opportunity for people who worked at different studios to come together and still get to know each other as friends.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I noticed that I didn't hear too much about from you was any gal pals. But there seemed to be a lot of today in today's Hollywood and entertainment, but didn't seem to be too many back in the day.
Well, I can't think of one right off the hand, but I am sure that, I mean, I'll give you one: Joan Blondell and Glenda Farrell. They were really close friends. They worked together at Warner Brothers during that, Busby Berkeley time of Warner Brothers. They were making these frothy musicals like 42nd Street. They would appear together. They were really, really good friends. And they remained good friends for the remainder of their lives, even when they weren't working at Warner Brothers anymore. Joan Blondell and Glenda Farrell were two of that snappy talking, tough girl types. But again, in real life, they were very cultured in much the way Edward G. Robinson was. They were very into the art. I mean, Glenda Farrell was into museums and into the forestry and wildlife services. I mean, she was really big on causes. So and Joan Blondell, I mean, she was one of these tireless workers that worked almost until the day she died. So there's your gal pals that I can think of. How's that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, of course, Hollywood hasn't changed in the sense that we hear on one end we hear the myth that everybody knows each other,
Yeah.
and on the other side, we what we don't hear is the real relationships behind the scenes.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I think
So
today things are much more open in this TMZ society we live in. But even back then, we were able to figure things out, and they made great fodder for, let's say, people like Hedda Hopper and Walter Winchell,
Hmm.
and that was
that's
always
true.
kind of a fun thing too. So yeah,
That's true. Manny, thank you.
you got it.
For more on Celebrating Act Two, visit our webpage, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and tell your friends. Celebrating Act Two is the user manual for the second half of your life.